Good morning, students. My name is Janki Patel, as you know me already. We learn this irrigation engineering subject, and we start with this first chapter introduction uh, in module one, right? What are the contents of this introduction chapter? The first is what are the main basic necessity of the irrigation. Next one is scope of irrigation. What are the scopes of irrigation engineering? The next is different benefits and also this ill effect of irrigation, and you can also call disadvantage and disadvantage of irrigation system. Irrigation development in India. What are the irrigation levels or irrigation developments which is in India? Next is different types of irrigation systems which helps in irrigation. Next is soil water plant relationship. It also includes the classification of soil water and also soil moisture contains and the depth of soil water available to the plants. And the last one is a permanent and ultimate building point, right? So what are the course goals here? This course has two specific goals. First, to introduce students to the basic concept of soil, water, plants, their interactions, as well as irrigation and drainage system and its design, planning, and management. The second course goal is to develop analytical skills relevant to the area mentioned in the first point, particularly design of only irrigation and the drainage projects, right? So these are two main specific goals of our this content, right? Starting with this introduction, what is the irrigation, right? The irrigation is the artificial application of water to the land and soil. It is used to assist in the growing of agricultural crops, maintenance of the landscapes, and revegetation of the disturbed soil in the dry areas and during the period of inadequate rainfall. Irrigation is often studied together with the drainage, which is natural or artificial removal of surface and subsurface water from a given area. Right? So main thing is irrigation is defined as the process of artificially supplying water to the soil for raising crops. Right? So mainly irrigation engineering involves conception, planning, design, and its construction and its operation, and the last one is management of the irrigation system, right? So what are the basic necessity of irrigation? So we first understand what are the necessity of irrigation, right? So most important factor is that the crop gets adequate water at the various stages of the growth of the plant, right? The natural supply of water to the agricultural land is through the rain. But if the rainfall is not sufficient or not adequate to meet the total water requirement of the crop, and it occurs at the time when the crop required, then the irrigation is not required, right? But India is a tropical country with a vast diversity of climate, topography, and the vegetation. Rainfall in India varies considerably from the place to place and also its amount, right? Even at a particular place, the rainfall is highly erratic and irregular as it occurs only during a few particular months of the year. In order to get this maximum yield of crop, it is necessary to supply the optimum quantity of water and to maintain or also to maintain correct timing of water. So this is only possible through a systematic irrigation system, right? So the necessity of irrigation can be summarized as first is insufficient rainfall or inadequate rainfall, right? To understand this, when the rainfall at a place is inadequate to meet the water requirements of the crop, artificially supply is necessary. This is generally essential for arid and sub-arid regions, right? For example, the water from the river Siltej is conveyed to the Thar desert of Rajasthan through the Indira Gandhi Canal, right? And second example is the water from the Narmada is also conveyed to the arid region of Saurashtra, which is in Gujarat and South Rajasthan through the Narmada main canal, right? So, where the water is needed when the rainfall is not sufficient for the water requirement, there are several irrigation canals which is made by the government, which is used when rainfall is not where there is no rainfall in this arid or some arid regions, right? Though we so we can supply this water in this particular arid and some arid regions through these irrigation canals, right? The second necessity is non-uniform rainfall. The rainfall in a particular area may not be uniform over the entire crop period. During the early periods of crops, rains may be there, but no rainwater available at the end of the crop period. In starting periods, rain was available, but crops needs watering by some periods, right? There is a first watering, second watering, third watering, but in the end of the crop period there are no rainwater available, there are no rainfall. So this non-uniform rainfall, but in India almost entire rainfall occurs during monsoon season. Monsoon season means from June month to the September month, right? So there is practically very little rainfall during the winter, and hence Rabi crops needs artificial supply of water. And this artificial supply of water is and this supply of water is through the irrigation works can means irrigation canals. This water can be provided by irrigation canals, right? So the next is a growing number of crops during a year. The sugarcane is an important sorry, the rainfall in a region may be sufficient to grow only one type of crops during a rainy season, right? For which no irrigation may be required. However, in the same region, if more number of crops are to be grown during the same year, irrigation is necessary. Uh, During this rainfall season, you also know that the rainy season there are no need of any water. But if there are two or more crops growing in the same field, you are definitely needed so much water content, and that's why the irrigation is necessary. The next is growing perennial crops, right? So sugarcane is the main perennial crop, matlab so important crop which remains in the field practically throughout the year. As the rainfall is not regular, irrigation is invariably needed for sugarcane. So wherever this sugarcane needed watering, so we provided it by irrigation, right? Next is growing superior crops and also cash crops, right? For growing superior crops and cash crops, such as there are many cash crops or superior crops, such as cottons, fruits, oil seeds, vegetables, etc. That large quantity of water is required, and therefore irrigation is needed, right? Next is increasing the yield of crops. How we gonna use increase this yield of crops? uh, this may be increased by irrigation as supply of water is properly controlled. If the supply of water is properly controlled, hence because of this reason the yield of crop per hectare is sustainably increased, right? And the last necessity is insurance against drought. The crop in a region may not require irrigation during a normal rainfall year, but in case of drought, it may be necessary. Irrigation is necessary to provide insurance of crops against drought and famine. If insurance of crops are there, so that if there are no rainfalls or not providing this water from the canal, not availability of any type of water, so crops may be fall fail or because of the crop failure, because of the failure of this generation of crops, there are many cost for farmers, right? So there are so many lost. There are so because of the insurance, farmers get back from this plantation value. So there are these seven necessities of irrigation which may be needed. Why irrigation is needed, right? So the next is benefits of irrigation. What are the benefit of irrigation? So various benefits of irrigations are summarized below. The first one is increased in crop yield. So due to timely and controlled supply of water to the crop, the yield of crop also increased. With the increase of the crop yield, it will be also achieve self-sufficiency in the production of food grains, right? So if we have this controlled supply of water to the crops, we can use this water by time to time, or by watering first period of watering, second period of watering, or third period of watering. So with the availability of water, these are the main advantage of our irrigation, right? To increase in crop yield possible to also achieve this self efficiency in the production of food grains, right? So these are the main advantage of the irrigation. Next is protection from famine. The provision of adequate irrigation facilities in any region ensures protection against the failure of crops or famines from droughts. However, in regions where no irrigation facilities exist and the farmers have to depend only on the rains for growing crops, the failure of rains may result in famine, right? So, the third one is a cultivation of cash crops. This what are the advantage from this cultivation of cash crops? Irrigation facilities encourage the cultivation of cash crops such as wheat, sugarcane, rice, cotton, tobacco, oil seeds, etc. These all cash crops are encourage these irrigation facilities, right? So these are the main benefit of the irrigation. Next is elimination of mixed cropping. If irrigation facilities are not available in a such area, the farmers have a tendency to adopt mixed farming. Now, what is the meaning of this mixed farming? If the farmers grow two or more crops together in the same field, then the main advantage of this mixed cropping is that the weather conditions are suitable for, if the whether conditions are suitable for one of this crop, it may be suitable for the other, right? Thus the farmers may get at least some yield from the same field from getting one crop, yeah, into or other crop, right? But also the mixed cropping has a number of disadvantages, and due to the fact that each crop has a different requirement for the field preparation or watering, etc., right? So we cannot assume that the two mixed cropping because of the mixed cropping, there are two or more crops are available in the same field. One crop needs more water, the or the other crop may need less water. So however, the more needed of water, the availability of irrigation facilities helps in eliminating the mixed cropping, right? So if we need more water for crop yielding, so with the help of the availability of irrigation facilities, we can eliminate the this mixed cropping system, right? The next is increase in the wealth of the country. The main important is the revenue collected from the farmers who utilizes the irrigation water. There is a substantial increase in the revenue to the state if if the yielding of crops or growing of this irrigation systems or irrigation are growing day by day, then the revenue of the country or revenue of the states are also increases. So the collected revenue may also used for the development of new irrigation systems, which is there are different types of irrigation schemes which is used in the foreign countries, which is very helpful. And because of the collection of this revenue, we can develop or invent these new schemes of irrigation, right, which also helps it also helps when rainfall is when there is no rainfall season, right, there is a no rainy season. So because of the help of these new irrigation schemes or generally this lead to increase the wealth of the country, right. The next is increase in a prosperity of people. In the region where irrigation facilities are available, the value of land is automatically increased. Also, due to growing of two or three crops, because of the growing cash crops, and also increase in the yield of the crop, the general prosperity of the farmer is also increased. So, in the end, there are increase in the prosperity of the people or mostly farmer. Next is a hydropower generation. How we generate this hydroelectric power. So major river valley projects are usually planned to provide hydroelectric power together with the irrigation. The generation of this hydroelectric power is also possible at the falls of the irrigation canal. Because such, for example, Ganga and Sharda canals in Uttar Pradesh are having a generating capacity of 80,000 kilowatt of hydroelectric power. So because of these irrigation canals, we can also generate this hydroelectric power, which is used to increase this revenue of the country or revenue of the state or wherever this irrigation canals we build, right. Next is the domestic and industrial water supply. The irrigation canal may also be utilized for domestic and industrial supply for the nearby area where no other source of water supply exists. If there is some domestic area or industrial area and there are no water supplies available nearby area, so irrigation canal is more sourceful to supply the water, right? The canal also provide the facilities for bathing, cattle watering, boating, swimming, or other recreations, right? The next benefit is canal plantation. Now, what is that exact meaning of this canal plantation? So, different type of trees are planted along the canal banks and also in open land available near the canal. So, the trees would provide a timber or also check soil erosion. So, in this benefit, there are if we grow this different type of trees near this canal banks or nearby area, open land, so near so so the canal, because of this canal banks, the water table of the nearby area is very high. So because of the groundwater table are high, there are no extra water needed to growing this plant or trees, right? So these plants are automatically grown by itself because of the high water table, right? So it also prevents soil erosion, right. So if trees are also here, the main advantage of there are no soil erosion near this tree, right. So plantation of trees near these canals are necessary for the to prevent this soil erosion, and also it provides a number of advantages, right. Next is increase in a groundwater storage. in the area where irrigation facilities are introduced, the groundwater storage is also increased, and because of the groundwater storage is increased, groundwater table is also rises, right? This is only because of the seepage of water from the canal and agricultural fields. In the canal, the seepage, because of the seepage of water from the canal, the groundwater table of the around surrounding area of this canal, it also increased because of the seepage of water. And because of the seepage of water, the water storage is also increased, right? The next benefit is overall development of the country. So provision of this irrigation facility leads to an overall development of country. How? Though how to over how it the supply of the irrigation water leads to improved agricultural pattern, increased crop yield, and increased employment, right? So, due to the increase in the agricultural revenue of the state and due to rise in the living standard of the people, schools, hospitals, and other facilities are also provided. So, if irrigations are increasing day by day, and it also because of these changes in a social and economic pattern of this society, and because of that the living standards of these people, because of these schools, hospitals, and other facilities provided only because of the revenue of this increased revenue of this state. So we stopped this lecture here, and if you have any confusion in any point or any topic, you can contact me anytime, and I would like to respond that or solve your any query if you have. So thank you so much for your thank you so much for listening. Now we stop here, and in the next session we will go further, right? Thank you so much.